Val's. I really like Val's podcast, but I like to put a title on it. Val stands for Voice All Over the Land.
Ooh, I like that.
That's what Val stands for me, anyway.
I love it. Are you there, Val?
She's on mute.
I'm on mute. Sorry. I'm
Oh my
surrounded by
God.
tech geniuses.
The host of the show is on mute. And that's a great brand there, Val. The host of the show is on mute.
I'm in good hands. I know I'm in good hands. You guys, I am so excited to be back on the show today. My microphone is working. Our connection is good. We're all good. I don't hear any background noises. I have to say, last night, you guys, I felt really bad about the show yesterday. Just being honest. I felt like I really, I did not ask the best questions. I feel like I missed some key opportunities. So I just wanted to share that with you, welcome you back, and I'm hoping I get a redo on some questions today. Are you guys okay with that?
No problem. I wouldn't. I'm okay with that. I mean, I wouldn't feel bad about that conversation. You didn't know me from a hole in the wall, and this is one way for us and get to know a little bit more and centralize our questions a little bit better in the second one. So that was a great conversation. We had a lot of ground that we hit and open up some other type of conversation. So don't feel too bad about that.
You are so kind.
And
thank you.
And think about it, Val. If you missed if you consider that a miss, that was a 2-hour miss that you did. How could that be? How could that be a miss? You know.
Boy, you really make me feel a lot better. So thank you. It's kind of intimidating. I mean, when you look at your CV, it is intimidating. And for those that are just joining live today, all they know is that I have a secret guest. So on that note, I want to do formal introductions and just recap our show. So my trusted co-pilot, Greg, who flies me to dimensions that into terrain I've never been, Greg Meekin, a man of many trades. I can't even make you a name tag and put all your qualifications because you've got experience just coming out of every end of you. So Greg, in 1 minute or less, just summarize who you are and what your deal is, please.
Well, 1 minute, huh, Val?
1 minute.
Real quick, my name is Greg Meekin. I am a Montreal kid, was raised in Montreal, spent most of my adult life in the Seattle area. I am a car guy by trade, an automotive manager by trade of some 35 years. I am an absolute hockey fanatic, and I am an author. As Val well knows, I published my most recent book, which is Why I Came to America and What I Think Now. It is only available at my website, which is gregmeekin.com. But I have, in the past year, literally devoted my, quote, retirement life. I retired down to Arizona 3 years ago, just before COVID hit. And I spent my COVID years, quote, couple of COVID years, and right up to now, writing. Again, publishing that book. I have another one coming up. And just have enjoyed doing radio really for the last year, both on Val Olson's Twitter Spaces here. We've done, if I'm going best count here, probably 16 episodes. And also I'm a regular on AmericanUckradio.com up north in Edmonton, where every Friday I do a show, which is called Dueling Citizens with Greg Meekin, where host Mike Phillip and I discuss really the differences between Canada and the United States. And we are all partnering in one single mission, which is the Alberta, USA movement, also known as Alberta 51, and the Mike Phillips of the world, the Val Olsons of the world, the Greg Meekins of the world, and I know because I've chatted with him, the Andre Fourniers of the world would love, love, love to see Alberta become the 51st state of the United States of America, and honestly leave the east coast of Canada exactly what it deserves, which is everything in the world except Alberta oil money and revenue and equalization. So there you go. I hope that was quick enough for you, Val.
Well, you left out, Greg, like some of the most important details about yourself. Starting with, Greg, I hope you have your pen out because this is important when you introduce yourself. You manage the generations, right? And what does that mean? It means that you connect with people across the spectrum, whether they're young or old. You're really unlimited in your reach. And that's at a level I've I've never met in another human being. I mean, you were talking to my 5-year-old this morning and making her smile and giggle, and you had time to help build me up, and you were on the back end talking to who knows who, maybe Mrs. B or I mean anybody, right? That's who you are. And you've done what, like 25,000 car deals? And I know that you'd never forget a face. You would never forget a car deal that you've made because that's who you are. You're sentimental. You don't forget any details. And you're a really good guy. You say you're a nice guy, but I know that you're trustable, you're loyal, and you're one of the good guys. So that is my introduction of Greg Meekin. And now over to our secret guest. I have his CV in front of me. It's so impressive. I'm going to give you 2 minutes, Andre, to walk us through who you are and what your deal is.
Wow, I get an extra minute, Greg. So my name is Andre Fournier. I am also from the Montreal area, a little town called Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu. And I'm also an avid hockey player. I did play with Greg hockey until he took his dual blades off. Uh, I've been in the technology for about 43 years and enjoyed the evolution of monitoring and being participative in the evolution of some of the great technologies we use today. And additionally, I've also have a lot of interests from the perspective of the impact of those technology to the human race. How do we interact and how do we use the technology and what are we missing? What is the technology taking away from us? Um, I'm married with for 46 years to a great person that tends to, and she is a woman, a person that supported me and was there all the time. So, and I don't think I need the full 2 minutes. I think that's, we'll find more quality or non-quality when we have our conversation. Oh, and I've known Greg for over 20 years. And yes, he's been a very good friend. And I'm still waiting for his book because I ordered it and it's should be very good to read. And because I've become an American on November 19th, and I want to know why I came to America, and what am I doing here after let's say now 42 years in the States. So does that complete everything, Val?
No, not at all. You still have like 30 more seconds to fill.
Oh, well, I like to meet people. I've been all over the world. I've been a lot of the countries in Asia. I've been in Europe, lived in Europe as well. And I think the thing that I enjoy the most about what I've done and acquired over the years is meeting people and learning their culture. I think we have so much to share and so much to learn from each other. And sometimes we lose sight of the quality of the human being we're talking to because sometimes we're awed by what they're capable of doing. But there's a human being behind those knowledge that are always important in life, and that's where I That's where I see my interest is how do I make how do I make a difference? And I really mean this. How do I make a difference to your life? And I bet you'll make a major difference to my life.
I love that. I love that. So you touched on quality there, and I will finish off your introduction too, because I'm going to pull from yesterday. We met for the first time yesterday, and you took the time when I messed up some of my questions, because I was nervous, just being honest, and you really connected with my junior tech kid. And you took the time to really connect with him. And after the show, I went and talked to him, and he was smiling ear to ear because you got him. And over that broadcast, you answered his questions fully, and you invited him to reach out to you. You left the ball in his court, and he really appreciated that. And I know he's listening today, and that really meant something to him. And so I want to thank you for doing that. But that's also part of what I really like about you. So, welcome to the show, guys. I am going to do a quick summary of yesterday for those tech geniuses that are able to get onto this show, because it's almost like a puzzle to get onto this broadcast. Twitter Spaces is, I mean, it's at the top. It really is at the top, but it is hard to get on the Val Olson broadcast. So for those of you who missed yesterday, uh, here's your recap. Okay, Andre Fournier is more technologically advanced than I believe Elon Musk, from a boots on the ground, skates on the ice kind of way. 2 decades older than Elon. Andre gave Elon some direct critical advice yesterday. He shared some inside secrets about Elon Musk. Elon Musk is a creator, not an inventor. We're going to get more into that today and what that means. There's a lot of creators. Elon isn't the only one, guys. He is not the only one out there. Andre laid out the next 2 decades of cars, automotive, drones, space. And we even talked about Andre being arrested twice, one by the Chinese government and one by the good old RCMP. Andre talked about meeting Bill Gates and Steve Jobs. He talked about what it was like to be boss of 120 IT engineers from India. He talked about working in Paris, Hungary, India, China, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Seattle, Dallas, and so many more. And he talked about the challenges of folks with autism, special needs like hearing impairment, bipolar, schizophrenia, mental disorders, and other fixable disorders. He taught me a thing or two about about wisdom and life-changing lessons. And Greg spoke French for the first time on the air yesterday. What did you say? Anyways, can you translate that for us, Greg?
Yeah, it was very simple because I don't get real complex. I've lost a lot of my French in 40 years, but it was not a little bit of a barb, but it was basically saying, "Hey, it's nice to speak French with you again, Andre." And we're just 2 guys from Montreal, lovers of the Montreal Canadiens. So that was basically it.
And we also learned a thing or two about 10 levels of automated cars. Okay. So we covered the spectrum. We covered everything. So today, though, we've got a great show lined up. I want to touch on immigration because this is a big thing. So, Andre, it sounds like you're fairly new then to becoming an American citizen. Am I right in saying that?
Yep, November 19, 2022.
Okay, what happened? How did that happen? I mean, you're at the very top. I mean, today is a talk with the top, at the top. Why did you stay in Canada and not become an American sooner?
Well, it was kind of a selfish reason one way, and the other way was because of the process it takes to become an American citizen. I got my green card in 1988. I came in. So the green card usually takes a couple of years to in those days used to be different levels of entry point based on your level of technology and your experience and what you brought to the United States. I am actually a registered a Canadian Aboriginal person. My father was a Mohawk, so my green card came real fast. And in 1988, there were no dates. There was no expiry date on green cards. So for the rest from 1988 all the way through to last year, I had no incentive to become an American. I always liked to be a Canadian and go to different country with my Canadian passport. And the other reason why I didn't become an American citizen is because I never could stay in the country to meet the bare minimum of I think it's 30 months out of 60 months that you have to be in the country in order to to be able to submit your submission as a to become an American citizen. So there was no rush. I had no end date on my green card. I traveled a lot, so I missed some of the requirements. So I decided it was needed. Last in August of 2021, we went back to Canada in a small town in Ontario, where my wife lived for many years before we were married, and we've been going there for 46 years. And we came in around 2 o'clock in the morning, and we were unloading the van, and we start moving some of the stuff upstairs in our parents' room, and somebody broke into our van and took our passport, our green card, our money, our ATM, our social security, the whole ball of wax. So I couldn't come back to the States because I didn't have a green card. Neither did she. While we were away, somebody used our ATM and emptied our bank account. So that was not a lot of fun. And I tried to get back to the States, so I called immigration. And every time I asked to talk to an agent, the automated system would hang up on me. Tell me that the first time it would say, if you ask for an agent again, I will hang up. And those are their words. That's if you call USCIS and listen to the automated system. If you say agent, it will tell you, if you ask for an agent again, I will hang up. And it did. I went like, wow, that's pretty interesting. So I couldn't get anybody at immigration. I couldn't get anybody at the custom and the border patrol. I did get a hold of the American embassy in Ottawa, and they routed me to Montreal. And Montreal wanted something like $600 for them to write a reentry letter, but it was a 5-month wait. And after 6 months, your green card expires. If you're out of the country more than 6 months, in with a green card, they are able to nullify your green card. So for 5 months, December 22nd. So from August the 12th to December 22nd, we were in the States trying to get back. I finally had a friend of mine that's a lawyer for immigration, and he said, just throw yourself at the mercy of the custom and border patrol. And he gave me the name of a director in Washington. I called him up. He said the same thing. He said, you got the police report? I said, yes, I got the OPP report. I've got a copy of my green card. I got a brand new Canadian passport, and the rest, He says, well, we have the right to refuse you, and we have the right to let you in. It's our call. So throw yourself at their mercy, and that's what we did. And so we went to the border and we explained the situation. And after an hour and a half of waiting and answering questions and everything else, they told us that we would be fined $900 each for losing our green card, and they would let us in. And so we did. Oh, and there's two people that I called that I felt they should have helped, and they never did. One was my senator, and I got absolutely very little out of them. They asked me to send them a copy of my green card and my wife's green card, and absolutely nothing happened. I called my congressman, and he told me that he didn't know me from a hole in the wall. And my question to him was simple: do you know everybody in your constituency? And he said, no. I said, so how do you know they're not fraud? He said, well, that's what I'm concerned about. I said, your call may be fraudulent. I've got no I've got no way to know who you are. And I said, well, I sent you a copy of my green card, my birth certificate, my social security, my driver's license, a copy of my green card, my marriage certificate, and an envelope with my address. So what else do you want? You want to do a video? He said, I don't have the time, and I'm not interested in taking this any further because I'm not sure that this is legal. And that's the type of help I got out of my congressman. When I got to the Border Patrol, I told this to the Border Patrol agent, and he kind of floored. And then he said to me, he says, your congressman and your senator, Democrats? I said, yeah. He said, yeah, I'm not surprised. He says, you would have been better off to fly to Mexico. We would have let you in for free.
Oh, wow. That's an
This,
interesting story.
yeah, the Border Patrol told me that. And so we headed back home. So when we got here, my wife and I are both 70 years old. And I said, I'm not going through another green card when I turn 80. Might as well get to be an American citizen. Because one of the problems we also face is if we went for a green card, there's a lot of questions you need to answer if you had a green card more than 10 years, more than 20 years. So we've had ours since 1988. What's that? 38 years, something like that, or 34 years. So we decided let's become an American citizen. Our kids are here. We've been living here for 40 years, which is more than half our life. And I know a lot of people here, and I made my home here. I still have my Canadian citizenship. Canada and United States do recognize dual citizenship. So, but the other thing too is I love being a Canadian. I always was proud to. I am proud to be a Canadian, and that is also an emotional type of decision you have to make. And when you come to the realization of being practical and logical, this is the only decision we should have made. So.
Can I ask just a couple questions just so we have
Sure.
clarification? So you said you were a first Canadian, you were a Mohawk, you're of the Mohawk
Yeah.
Indians. Why
My
did
father
you
was.
not cross through the Jay Treaty, which is simply you go to the border, you self-identify?
Because my mother was white, and as a half breed, a Métis, the rights are not as well recognized in the States. If I was a full blood native, that would have been different because the registration is different. In Canada, the Métis are recognized as Aboriginal. In the United States, they are somewhat recognized, and it's more difficult to. I showed my card to the immigration. It didn't make border patrol. It didn't make any difference. So
because you needed a quantum blood.
Yep, that's right.
Thing,
mm-hmm.
Right? Okay.
Yep.
Wow, that is interesting. I love though that our border agents who are there serving and protecting were, at your aid to help you
Mm-hmm.
find a way and give some recommendations. My second and last question on that immigration story is what did it feel like when you were calling the immigration line and you were seeing the technology, really, Andre, that you're behind, right? Because in action and working against you, what did that feel like?
It didn't. When we developed, when I was in charge of the development for these type of technology at Nortel, the main purpose was to help people manage their time. I have voicemail, but I also have a way of managing it. I will return your call within 24 hours. That's my commitment to anybody that calls me. You call me, you leave me a voicemail, you're guaranteed to get a call. I find that a lot of the technology today are used as a filter, and they're used not for the right purpose. This voicemail, this automated system was supposed to provide the ability to go to a voicemail at minimum, and it didn't. So you can create whatever application you want. The actual implementation and configuration at the site that the customer wants is what determines how it works. And I think that a lot of people are using them not in the. If you ever read the design specification that we wrote, it says very clearly that this purpose is to allow people to reach somebody that they're not capable of reaching at this time due to either they're not in the office or they're at lunch or they're feeling ill or whatever, in order for them to return the call at the most convenient time. And that's the part that's missing, at the most convenient time. And if you take a look at all the technologies that I work with, I mean, and 5G, text messages, HTMS, whatever technology you use to communicate today, really we're not using the communication the right way. We're talking. We could have done this through text message by exchanging messages. Two things is missing. One is your tone of voice indicates your interest in the conversation. A lot of people don't like that, because if I get bored, I accidentally unmute my phone and I say something like, "Oh, geez, I'm talking to this guy. Leave me alone for a minute." It puts a situation in a different type. In 1982, yeah, 1982, 81, 82, myself and two other engineers worked on a thing called display phone at Nortel at B&R. And that technology would allow you to see the people. And that's pretty advanced when you think about it, because it was on a two-wire. And so there was no internet or anything like that. You were using the telephone line just like a normal phone and a modem. And you could see people with the camera. We went to Montreal to do a market analysis, and I was one of the technical guys that did it. So I went to the place, and the feedback was so bad that they canned the project. Why? Because people don't want to be seen when you talk to them. They really didn't. And in those days, one of the vice president of the company that we interviewed during that time says, "I don't want people to know what I'm doing when I'm talking to them." So I could be writing an email, or I could be writing a letter to somebody, or I could be having a cup of coffee with one of my employees. I could have an employee in my office with me, and we could be making jokes about whatever they're talking about. Why do I want to have somebody see me do that? And that bothers me. So technology is great. How it's used is usually it's either the wrong way, or it's applied to the situation that you want to deal with. Voicemail, calling number display. A lot of people now have spoofers. So every once in a while, you'll get a call and there'll be a number of somebody. And I'll give you an example. Medicare is a great example. People that provide Medicare, every once in a while, I'll get a phone call and I'll get a phone number and the name of a person. And when I pick up the phone, it's an automated system. It's got the wrong name. And by the time you're done, you try to recall that number and it's somebody else. Why do we do that? We need to ask ourselves those type of questions. Are we so afraid that to ask people different things that we have to hide ourselves behind the technology? Maybe we've created that.
I never thought of that. You're right. You're right. And it's technology working against us. Greg, what's your thoughts on what Andre's just shared?
Well, he always brings up really insightful stuff, and every time he speaks, he kind of teaches me something. It's just amazing hearing this conversation. It was a great question by you, Val. Talking about the phone trees, phone menus. What was it like for him to actually be victim of that while he was dealing with Canadian immigration? I just want to. What really jumped out to me when he was talking about his immigration story, where he was stuck in Canada for 6 months. Question to Andre, direct question. What do you think about the either border wall or lack of border wall on the southern U.S. border? And two, am I the only one who thinks it is completely messed up how much Canadians have to go through to even get the opportunity to work or live down here, never mind full citizenship? Am I the only one who thinks it's messed up where you can stroll across the Mexican border and get all full benefits? It's kind of a rhetorical question, but that we're heading to 6 million illegal crossers any minute here. And it sounds like you went through the rigmarole, Andre, and I guess reaching out to just say what's your thought of all of this? Not only the southern border, but the BS that Canadians have to go through.
Well, I've been in numerous countries in my life, and I lived in quite a few of them, and I've yet to have a single country that I know that allows people in the country without proper due process. I mean, try to get into Japan, try to get into Saudi Arabia without the proper paper. Try to get in there in any other country aside from the United States and be allowed to live there without the proper due process. As a legal migrant and an American citizen now, um, I find that is you know I look at I'll use a governor specifically. I like Mr. DeSanti. He finds out that he's got illegal immigrants coming into Florida, and his comment is, "Why should I have my Floridian constituency increase their tax in order to provide illegal immigrants with the facilities and the support to live in this state? If you want to do that, you can go to a state that allows you to do that. And that's why you ship people out." I have some family of mine in Canada that believe that that they should all come in. I said, well, let me ask you a question. You have a house, and a stranger comes into your house, doesn't knock the door, just opens the door, comes into your house, sits down at your table, eats your food, sleeps in one of your bed, drives your car, use some of your clothes, use your Medicare. How do you feel about that? Well, that's not right. Well, guess what? Going to their country doing the same thing is not right either. So, and I don't blame the government only. There's a lot of blame to go around. I mean, there's a lot of migrants which come into the United States to take jobs because some of the Americans don't want to use it. I mean, farming in California depends a lot on migrants, but there is a process to do that. But some of the farmers don't want to use it. So who's at fault there? Not the migrants. They're coming in to get a job because some of the farmers want them. So the system is broken. As a Canadian, I can tell you that, and I know this for a fact because I worked with two companies and we hired people from Europe and people from Canada. And it was more difficult for me to justify a Canadian getting a green card or a work permit than it was for me to get somebody from India for a while. The hardest country to bring somebody in is China. And there's a lot of quotas that they have to meet. So uh, to me, we got to take a step back and say, stop pointing fingers at who's at fault and take a look at what's broken in the system. Take a look at the root cause, right? A lot of the Americans should take in the blame. When your government tells you there's over 5 million jobs opening and you got people on unemployment insurance collecting pogey, uh, something's wrong. And that goes for Canada the same way. I mean, the other thing that we should take a look at is, why are they coming over? Why is it that why can't we help them fix the problem in their country and stay there? I bet you a lot of them would like to stay in their country, but how do they go about fixing it? So it's a really bad onion to peel, and it's not something that's easily fixed. And there's a lot of people we can point fingers at, but until these people, we step back and say, what's the cause of this problem? Putting the wall will solve part of the problem, but you know just as well as I do, whatever interference you put to prevent something, somebody finds a way around it. Let's talk about computer. How many times do we create brand new uh, encryption system to protect people on their laptop, and somebody smarter come and takes it over and puts a little bug in your computer and goes like, if you want me to remove this, call this number and I will solve it for you.
We are just getting to the good stuff. It's getting hot in here. I'm getting fired up. So today's guests on the show, Greg Meekin, and you can visit Greg's website, gregmeekin.com. You'll find him on Facebook. He is overactive on YouTube right now. I mean, his stuff, you can Google his name and you're going to find videos, snippets, clips of him. You can listen to him on the radio. He's fast becoming just like a Jordan Peterson almost, dare I say. I think he's well on his way to just saying it like it is, giving good advice. That's Greg Meekin, my co-pilot today. And Andre Fournier, you can find him and follow him. Probably easiest way is Andre F.A. Fournier on LinkedIn. And we're just at the part of the discussion now where we're talking immigration problems. I love that you said root cause, because it is about time we drill down and, stop talking about the trigger end of it and the blame, but more about, okay, root issue here. Let's lay it on the table. I mean, how do we clean up a mess? At my house, anyways, when we clean up a mess, we don't overcomplicate it and say, well, it's a mountain and I can't get over it. We lay all the pieces of the puzzle down, and then we start, allocating jobs, and we get all the information out there, and then we start to problem solve. It's really not that difficult. If you can't solve a global scale world problem at home, then that's a serious problem. And I'm very confident in saying you can do anything from the home zone, like anything. Look at us today, right? We're broadcasting live, and I'm in the home zone here. And Greg, where are you? Are you in your car, or are you at home?
Oh, goodness. I wasn't expecting that question. I'm in sunny Arizona, as are you, Val. I am sitting in my living room in my special corner of the couch. And I might stroll out to the patio in a little bit and enjoy the weather, which is going to crowd 70 degrees today. It's going to be 70, so I'm gonna have my sweater ready, Val. So here I
And
am.
Andre,
Here I am.
yeah. Andre, where are you today? Where are you broadcasting from?
I'm in Marietta, Georgia, where it's about 65, and we're going to have some thunderstorms, so I'm not going out.
So you're in your home, correct?
Yes, I am.
Right. So we are all at home, comfortable, and we're talking about global scale problems that affect all of us. And we've got listeners. Our reach, Greg figures, we're reaching up to 1 million. I would just say, because I deal in high, honest, integrity journalism, anywhere's from one listener up to 1 million. So, you know, it doesn't really matter where you are. You can work together. You can use technology in a really positive way, but we can all just gather around that table and lay the facts down. And you did mention DeSantis, and you like where he's going. If I had 5 minutes at a table with him, I would totally, uh, not literally hold him hostage, but I would say, no, 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 you're not getting up until you answer the following questions. And we would go right to where you said root issues within immigration, because that's what it's all about. It's all in the writing, all in the contract stuff. And for those trying to do things legally, it's almost impossible. Almost impossible. I think I've read far more documents than I care to admit to when it comes to the United States immigration, and it is not an easy climb, let me tell you. So we need to hold these
And,
politicians that we have to meetings, the
yep.
people
The-
who want to make this happen.
just to give you an example, my wife and I submitted our U.S. citizenship application on the same day within an hour. And as part of my application, I submitted my Aboriginal certification for Canada and all the paperwork. This was April of 2022. I got my American citizen November 19th of 2022. Do the math. That's less than a year. My wife has been at it. She's still waiting. They're telling her it's another 6 to 7 months. So, and the average for getting your American citizenship is usually between 18 months to 24 months. Why? If you've been living in it, my question I would ask, and I'm going to be meeting with, interestingly, my favorite senator, Mr. Ossoff, and ask him the question, why? I mean, you got a green card, so you've already passed a lot of the immigration issues when you got a green card. They validate you, they validate your family. You go through your background check. They know what country you're from. You know where you lived for the 10 years you had your green card. They know what you've done in this country. They know if you broke the law. They know how many children you have, and they know where you lived. What else do you need to research in order for me to become an American citizen? There's absolutely nothing I can think of. So
You're
why
preaching
take
to
it?
the choir.
Yeah, I know, but you got listeners out there that, they are American, and they need to know that this system is broken. We need to fix something, and they got to stop. I'll put my pet peeve on the table. I don't know why we spend so much time in politics pointing fingers and accusing each other of nonsense rather than concentrating on fixing the country properly. I don't care about Trump. He's out. He's gone. But DeSantis there, there's other people. So forget, the more you put people in the news, the more it gets to the forefront and the more time we waste. So get that, take it out of and start concentrating on how do we minimize our tax? How do we make sure the infrastructure is correct? How do I make sure that my children are getting the education that I'm paying for, rather than trying to tell me what you're forcing my kids to learn?
This is
Those are,
seriously thought-provoking stuff.
well, we have to. Otherwise, we're wasting. And until people start thinking those type of questions out loud and start thinking about, so what do I need to do to get that? Who is going to represent my view in the Senate and in Congress that's going to allow me to move the yardstick on some of the issues I have? And I bet you I'm not the only one. My dad used to say numerous times, the few manage the many. You know what I mean by that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the few manage the many, which means you make the most noise and you manage the world. When you got 10% of the population of the United States dictates to the government and they whine and complain about doing something and they get it done, and the other 90% has to put up with it and shut up, there's a problem. I won't get off my soapbox. Sorry.
Greg,
Hey,
what would you like to add?
there's a continuous theme going here, which is, of course, immigration is such a hot button issue. I just want to jump a small branch here. It's on the immigration issue, but jump a small branch. And you guys know that I love solutions. No matter what, I love solutions to stuff. What's the problem? Identify the problem. But let's do a solution and stop talking about it. And what keeps jumping into my mind as I listen to these conversations is indeed that the process is messed up. But speaking specifically to all of our friends in Alberta who are out there, there is one solution, at least to your world. And that is, of course, by voting yes in a referendum, if you have the choice, to become the 51st state of the United States of America. Alberta 51. Amongst the dozens and dozens and scores of advantages. The biggest one here basically cures all of Alberta quote immigration issues, and that the border there would be no it'd be an open border to the United States and access to the lower 48. I always used to joke they'd be able to turn the customs stands into maybe some just flower pots or something as you drive by. But if you are in Alberta and you are an Alberta resident that is eligible to vote in an Alberta referendum, there's number one going to be great news for you in 2023. That's all I'll say right now. But number two, it immediately solves at least the Canadian side of all immigration, because you would be instantly become, guess what? Dual citizens, right, Andre? You are one, I am one, and Val will be one soon. And the beauty about dual citizenship is, again, the minute Alberta becomes Alberta 51, you automatically have U.S. citizenship. You'll never lose. You'll always retain your Canadian citizenship. And as Andre mentions, he's completely sentimental towards Canada. We love Canada. I love Canada. I was raised in Canada. But old Canada with what Andre and I were raised in Quebec and the folks out west, the Gordy Kesslers of the world. Old Canada is a different world. New Canada is an absolute abomination as far as what we've seen, especially on the oppressive, not only immigration laws, but on this oppressive COVID lockdowns and goodness gracious bank accounts being frozen and goodness gracious innocent noble protesters tossed in jail. Andre, would you ever have dreamed? Rhetorical question that you and I in Quebec back in the 60s and 70s would have ever seen this kind of complete, it is fascism when you're starting to freeze bank accounts and stuff. I never dreamed in my wildest dreams that would happen. So long story short, it's too late for that. But to the folks in Alberta, when the referendum comes up, would you like to, if you could, would you choose to be the 51st state of the United States of America? If you vote yes, and it will happen, it's going to happen, you just watch. If we get the vast majority of Albertans wanting out, sick of this absolute nonsense we see coming out of Ottawa, of the nonsense, the pure theft of equalization money and oil revenues and gas revenues by the East Coast, our wonderful provinces back there. In this day of immigration, in this day of border walls or lack thereof, by becoming Alberta, the USA, if not for you, if not for the dual citizenship for you, well, how about your kids? Dual citizenship. How about your grandchildren? Dual citizen forever and ever. In addition to the other benefits, they'll never have an immigration issue. They will be protected by the United States of America. They'll be supported by the United States of America. You can remain as Canadian as you want. Keep your Mounties if you want. That's another conversation for another day. But be as Canadian as you want. You'll never lose your hockey. But it will cure the immigration nonsense, nightmare, craziness. I've got a friend in Alberta who's about $50,000 deep in trying to become an American, and he still hasn't got it done. So Alberta 51 equals dual citizenship the rest of your life, no immigration nonsense, getting a job in any U.S. company just by with virtually no paperwork, get paid in U.S. funds, pensions guaranteed for the rest of your life in U.S. funds, on and on and on. But bottom line, it's a long wordy solution here, but the solution for all of what we're talking about in this show, which is the garbage nonsense that's going on, and the bureaucracy and immigration, it's an embarrassment. We should be ashamed of ourselves, both in the U.S. and Canada. How we can figure out how to count 100 million votes. An American Idol in a commercial break, we can't even figure out how to count the votes in a U.S. election. So I lead, I guess, this conversation very passionately. I didn't expect to go on such a diatribe, but I guess I'm just sick and not tired of the BS. Andre and I are both referendum kids from Quebec, the province of Quebec in the 60s and 70s. We lived through two referendums, mon ami. Remember, Andre? And
yes, I do.
And it can be done. I was a no for Quebec. But I'll tell you what.
And so was I.
But I'll tell you what. I'm eligible. Get this. I'm eligible to vote in Canadian elections now, and I'm really trying to seriously see if I can maybe do some business or residency up in Alberta, because I sure would like myself to have skin in the game and vote yes in the Alberta referendum, and I will get off my soapbox after that one, ladies and gentlemen.
Like, that's awesome. I mean, this is better than the news, but if you even want to add old school, mainstream, blah, blah, traditional news, or you want to know what does the government have to say, well, I have that at my fingertips here. And even the Alberta government, this is so funny. This is an Alberta government. You can go on their website and read it for yourself, but they did a panel and they called it the Alberta doesn't get a fair share result from the panel. And the panel went around across Alberta and asked everyone what they thought about the following things. But they did touch on this hot button issue, talking about Alberta separating from Canada. So this was the question. Sorry, the stat of, hold on. So 33% of Albertans agree with the statement, my province would be better off if it's separated from Canada. So that's a direct quote from the good old government of Alberta. 2019, that number was released. 33% of people polled of Albertans agree with the statement, my province would be better off if it's separated from Canada. And the real kicker is that that number is up from 25% just over a year ago. And the last time this survey was done was back in 2019. Well, here's a news flash. It's 2022. So you guys are way out to lunch. Not only do I know, I guarantee I could get a poll with X amount of results and guarantee that that number is far higher than 33%. And I know a referendum is inevitable. It's going to happen because it's asking Albertans a question for themselves. You decide. You decide for yourself. Do you want to leave? Do you want to stay? What do you want to do? You know, it's time to really ask that hard question. And I don't know any people group in Alberta that is looking at their lives as adults and saying, yeah, I want this for my kid. No, they want better for their children, better for their grandchildren. And it only makes sense that we stand up, we rise up, and we vote our values. So vote yes for the referendum. I'm with you, Greg. 100%.
Hey, Val. Andre, I'm going to kick a question to you just in 2 seconds here. The question is, Andre, what would you say to folks in Alberta, being a former Quebecer, if they have the opportunity to keep that in your mind here? But I wanted to just touch base on your number there, Val, the 33%, because I heard that number. There's a couple of numbers going around out there right now, and I haven't really sourced them, but I would interject this. I believe even if it's 33% from 2019, the question I would have is after registered Alberta voters are educated on the subject, meaning they know all of the benefits and all of the detractions. I know there's scores of benefits, but educated, I can even envision kind of a short seminar kind of thing, really just on pure education. What would that number be? And my contention is of those 33%, well, maybe even a couple of years evolution, they're probably going to jump from that after the COVID lockdowns and the bank account closures and the convoy issue and stuff. So I think it's higher than 33% just in time. But after full education, my full belief is Alberta will there'll be a 60% or higher vote yes on Alberta 51, Alberta USA referendum, provided all of the registered voters are educated on the subject. Simple, just educated like we would go to school to find out. My guess is there's going to be between 800,000 and 900,000 voters in a prospective referendum that you need, or like votes that you need to get those kind of numbers. So, and again, if anyone does want as much information as they can get, education-wise, I highly recommend the Facebook 51 group, and you know about them, Val. It's the 51st statehood U.S. state movement on Facebook. And also, I will say, I have written and done so much documentation on it on the trending section of my website, gregmeekin.com, including, you remember this, Val, a real long Q&A as far as laying out the facts and the guidelines of at least advantages and disadvantages of Alberta 51. So whether it's the Alberta 51 Facebook group, whether it's my website and reading through a lot of the Alberta 51 stuff, or indeed staying tuned to Val Olson News, because Val, you'll be the first to say if there were a Guinness Book record for number one research documented investigative journalism drilled down person about Alberta 51, Alberta, USA, that would be Val Olson. So do educate yourself, do vote yes in the referendum. And I kick that over to Andre. What do you now, as a brand new dual citizen, say to folks in Alberta who might have that option? And again, being a Quebec referendum guy.
Well, I'm not going to be very popular. I'm a little bit more careful on that. I've been through 2 referendum in Quebec, and it's easy to be said, but what's the root cause problem? I mean, you're going from one country that's got problem to another country that's got problems. So you really need to do your research on both sides. You also got to take a look at the monetary system and the debt that's incurred in all the different provinces. I know when we went through the referendum in Quebec, one of the problems we faced was the debt that Quebec incurred with the federal government needed to be taken by the Quebec government. And that became a major issue, along with what type of monetary system are you going? Now, going to the States is different. You got the US dollars, but you also got to negotiate with the US government. They also have rules to do. So I'm not a yes and I'm not a no, but
Right.
I would take a look very carefully as to what decisions I'm making because, I have an old saying that I use. Sometimes the grass may be looking greener on the other side of the fence, but at least on this side of the fence, I know where the pie calls are.
I think
So,
it's interesting you say this because I would be the first to say, perfect. You're not a yes. You're not a no. But guess
and
what? You'd be open to education.
I
You'd be
know,
open to education, point, counterpoint, and
yeah,
advantages and disadvantages. And that's really what
yeah,
most,
and
honestly, Andre, most Albertans are going to feel that way. Not an automatic yes, not an,
yeah,
but at least willing to look at it,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. You got to take a look because it's there's also we're talking about the federal government. We're also talking about the provincial government. What has it done to help the cause? I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that we're not very much. I'm not. I will tell you this right away. I don't know what type of arrangements there is between the federal government and any of the provinces aside from the one in Quebec. And I can tell you that part of Quebec, if Quebec would have separated, the northern part of the St. Lawrence would not have been the Quebec because that land has been leased for 1,000 years by the federal government to the natives. And that piece of land would have stayed with Canada because the natives did not want to go with Quebec. Now, Quebec is a different story than Alberta are. So I'm always very careful when I hear these type of things because we also saw the same thing applied in California, where the northern part of California wanted to separate, the southern part of California wanted to separate from the northern part of California. Uh, it's it's sometimes, and please don't be offended, but sometimes we tend to look at the problem from how does it impact me. We should take a look at the problem is what is the issue at hand that we're trying to solve that is unifying the whole everybody, and how do we solve it? Is it better to go to another country that's got its own problem with immigration and tax and other things, or is it better for me to stay where I am and force the federal government to say through my provincial government say we're not doing this anymore. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to be doing. And so that's my view. I'm not voting yes, and I'm not voting no. I would have to be educated a lot more as to what other avenues I would be able to solve the problem, and because this is not news. I mean, Alberta 51 Alberta has been wanting to separate from Canada for years. This is probably what 15, 20 years that I've been hearing about that. So it's not something that's new. Why is it not moved faster? Why only 33%? And Greg, I truly believe you hit the nail on the head. People are not knowledgeable and sometimes maybe not interested in being knowledgeable about the issues and what solution there is at hand. And that's the way I look at it.
Andre, after hearing that, I feel that this is a situation that actually falls into your lap directly, where you could help in the following way. censorship. Education isn't an option when we do not have access to all information. And our
True.
communication structure in Canada is it's a tap, and it runs through the government. And
Mm-hmm.
there are many people who would love to hear the information I have, but I've lost a lot of my work, which was free and accessible. But because I didn't fit the mold
Mm-hmm.
of the expectation, I was shut off like that. And I provided access to both sides of the information spectrum, not just what I felt or believed, but I'm always happy to have those conversations. So
Yep.
I
Mm-hmm.
challenge you to look at, where technology is today and address, we are running out of options in Canada when it comes to quality, honest, factual
Mm-hmm.
information. And so education is definitely a point of concern from
Yep.
me that I carry with me to the USA and talk a lot about that. So if
Mm-hmm.
you would ever consider getting involved, or it's an area of interest for you, I would love to really just drill down and take you to some just tragic and
Mm-hmm.
devastating places where
Mm-hmm.
information has been withheld from people groups.
Yep. No.
A through Z.
Yep. No, I have no doubt. I mean, I've lived on a reservation for 5 years, so I know. You want to talk about abuse and communication and being lack of. But and I agree with you that there's lack of communication. But I will give you the same answer I gave my son one day when he turned around. He told me, this and that about the government. I said, well, who elected them? How do we move the population to elect people that communicate better? And be more than happy to work with that and so on. Like I said, my answer is not yes, and my answer is not no. I've worked with the natives in the west coast of the United States and Canada for 2 years as a volunteer. We're helping them with technology, and try to get a grant into a reservation for telecommunication from the federal government is like pulling teeth. Oh, they're big talk, big. We got the laws, we've got the rights, we got the treaties, we got the money, we got this, but try to get the money. Try to talk to them and get. It's like talking to a web. You cannot get to a person that can make decisions. Why is that? So yeah, I understand where you're coming from. Uh, and maybe my engineering background is is not helping me, but it's maybe hindering me a bit of coming up to a decision until I understand more. But I think education is critical, and with education comes responsibility, and the government has that responsibility to give us. We elected them; they owe us. They work for us. If some of them want to be if some of them want to be career politician, then we should change the law so there's a 2 year, 2 terms minimum maximum. And that's why some of the politicians in the United States don't want to do that because that's their career. They become a comfort zone.
This is a show where we learn and we grow, and that is how progress is made. We listen to each other. You are sparking things that I don't have the answer to, but I want to get those answers. So if you're enjoying this show or you've got questions, you can email us. Go on our website, valwolsonnews.com, and send your questions. Share this broadcast, and if you like what you hear or you don't like what you hear, that's okay too. We still want to hear from you. We're live and interactive. I invite you to share this broadcast. For those of you that are listening, share it with your friends. Today's guests, thrilled to have my trusted co-pilot, Greg Meekin. Find his work on gregmeekin.com. And Andre Fournier, just a lifetime of achievements. Your CV is available on my website because it's overwhelming. You are a tech genius. You are the Elon of the day uh, for over 40 years. And you're an inventor. You say Elon is a creator today. There's a big difference between what an inventor and a creator does. Just go over again some of your inventions. Let's start there.
Well, I mean, some of the stuff that we've done is a lot of the telecommunication application, such as calling number display, call forwarding, and automated system for answering, global positioning, location base in the year 2000 when the ephemeris was still being managed by the federal government and the Air Force. Um, the autonomous car. The last 5 years of my career, I spent on the 5G um, committees defining what 5G network looks like and what the infrastructure is supposed to do, talking about encryption and safety and using 5G. A lot of this stuff is, I I appreciate your comment, Val, that being an inventor, but to me, an inventor is somebody that takes something from nothing. I mean, Edison was an inventor. Farad was an inventor. They created something that was completely unknown. A creator, somebody that takes some of those unknowns that were invented and uses them to develop things that is usable and capable of helping us with our lifestyle. And I see myself more as somebody that created things that helps and improve our lifestyle and also have some negative impact as well. As I said yesterday, what I find that some of the telecommunication technologies has done is take away the human interaction that we miss a lot today, especially in the young adults, where they spend more time texting and not having any type of one-on-one conversation. And what I applaud both you and Greg is that you know I don't have the same yes as both of you, but you accepted that, and I accept your yes because I understand where you're coming from. You got more experience on the topic, and we're able to exchange our ideas and keep an open mind. We miss a lot of that today because of the telecommunication industry created technology that takes away the personal touch in communication. It's pretty sad when you go to a home and the young children and the grandchildren and the young adults are sitting around a dinner table or on the Chesterfield with their parents using their phone communicating. Upstairs. That's sad.
Well, we've got to get better too as a society of just engaging with them, and that's what Greg does really well. Is he you create, Andre, Greg connects, and what I'm doing is just trying to bring the heart factor in because I feel that we focus on the brain end. You know, like you talked about earlier with the few manage the many. I think it's time if we want to wrong those rights and we look at some of the areas of technology that is not working for us, it's working against us. Now's the time to come to the drawing table and sit down together and let's do some heart and brain math together. And it's a different way to do it. It's a different way to look at it, but to me, it's the only way to do anything.
Yep.
And I'm an advocate that the heart is, I mean, that's the lifeline. Without it, you don't get off the ground and it determines a lot. So if there's
Absolutely.
if there's a way that we can all come together and build a team with that underlying factor of heart and brain math, put it together, I think we can turn things around and solve some big problems. What do you guys think?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And basically keeping an open mind is also very critical. And the heart is it's the pumping of the information into the brain that we're using. I mean, that's what your heart is about, and
That's
that to
so
me
good.
brings a that to me is very critical. I mean, I can tell you the simple rules that people can make just to help each other. Did you know at my house when we have dinner, the television and the phones are off? I don't care
Love
who
it.
calls. You cannot answer your phone. And why? Because this is the only time we have as a family to talk to each other face to face without interruption. And a lot of things happen at a dinner table. How many families today in North America don't have dinner at the table?
So true.
And that's
And
the heart of
you're
the family. That's the heart of the family right there.
Okay, I know you're not looking to go back to work because you're working retired, but I have to tell you, if Val Olson News ever expands and we, get into a situation of HQ status or something, I would love, love, love to hire you in a very particular role. Do you want to know more? Do you want to hear more about where I would put
Sure,
you in my office?
sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
Looking at your CV, which you can do, listeners online, go to my website, valolsonnews.com. And I mean, it's beyond impressive. We're talking, this is like a talk at the top with, when it comes to tech geniuses, this is the guy. You'd be thinking I'd ask him to, wire HQ for me. I wouldn't. I would very specifically and very confidently and comfortably put you into the honorary heart resources role. I would want you to oversee that division for me. Would that be a job you'd be interested in?
oh, absolutely.
See, you get
It's,
it. You
yeah,
get it.
yeah. So it's, to me, you have to have heart in order to get successful. You cannot do something without. Every time somebody accomplishes something, they leave a piece of themselves in it, and that piece is that little piece of their heart. So that's critical.
Human resources, it's not even human anymore. It's all AI. Whereas at where I'm placing you, an honorary heart resources, we work from the heart. It starts with the heart. We use the brain. And you just wait and see what valolsonnews.com creates and puts out there and the places we go. So again, this is where new news gets its news. We are ahead of our time. And I'm really thrilled, Andre, that you would even consider that role. So thank you. Thank you so much. Greg, over to you.
Sorry, I pushed the wrong button. I went away. my,
What?
my heart skipped all of a sudden. No,
Yeah,
Val, you honor me by doing that. Thank you.
you think you're a techno genius and can't work your phone, Andre?
I'm reading my
Um,
instructional book.
I am I'm gonna kind of finish up on this. This is such awesome conversation. Um, Andre hit on, and I love this. I love this role of Andre being director of heart resource department, where you marry the brain with the heart, which we need both in business and life these days. But Andre hit on something earlier, and it's something I talk about a lot, and that's we can discuss our differences, just like we did today. We had a dueling citizens today because technically we took the yes position, and technically Andre would not commit to that, but still, kept an open mind. I would, even as a yes to Alberta 51, I'd keep an open mind. I haven't had anyone convince me, I mean, really even one reason specifically of why I would not vote yes and why I would choose to stay in Confederation. But the point here is, I believe, as you've heard many times, and I think you too, Andre, I believe we agree on 80% of things in life. I think humans agree: family, health, God, community, and that we disagree on maybe 20%. Unfortunately, the 20% gets all the mic time these days. But Andre and I come from an era, honestly, the old hockey world, where we could punch each other on the nose out on the ice. I could score another 10 goals on him routinely, just by showing up. I could score on him. We punch each other in the nose, and we go have a beer after the game at the tavern. We come to common ground. We negotiate our positions. We draw out a solution for the problem, and we agree. We move forward. And sadly, as again, we've already touched on, even starting in the show yesterday. Unfortunately, it's an era, I believe, because of the media, and I believe because of political partisanship, that everyone's just throwing up castle walls right now. and shooting arrows at each other. And if you don't agree 100% with me, if you're not red, if you're not blue, if you're not whatever political party, then you're a loser. I think that if there's a tone that I get for this conversation, and honestly, both of you know that that's my dueling citizens brand. We're supposed to duel back and forth, exchange ideas, keep an open mind, and obviously come to basically the end of a duel. And hopefully everything will be a draw in life. But just to wrap up on this, I think this show today and both the part deux, as they say, is and the full show yesterday is really the epitome of working together, chatting together, kicking ideas around, keeping our hearts and minds and brains open to new ideas and to coming to common ground. So I thank you personally, both Val being an amazing facilitator of this last two shows, and of course, as ever, my friend Andre. I'll never be able to thank you enough. You know that, and I think it's ditto. I'm sure on your end, we're just good friends, and that's the way it's supposed to be. So no matter what, I wish everybody better awesome 2023 with big new fresh ideas, and I honestly think I really do. I honestly think a lot of people, most people I meet, they're ready for a fresh start in 2023. We've been really beat up as a society in the last 2-3 years, especially with that COVID lockdowns and the insanity that we've seen going on, not only within our borders, but around the world. So may 2023 be absolutely awesome for everybody. And I know that my 2023 will include my pal Val and my dear friend, even though he's a French guy, I still love him dearly, is Mr. Andre Fournier, who is honestly, and I will say forever and ever, one of the most amazing guys I've ever known. So there you go, guys.
Okay, well, flattery will get you everywhere, so I'll let you score another 10 goals. No, the thing is one word that always resound when I think about this. It's called respect. I mean, we don't have to agree, as long as we respect. And once we made a decision to go somewhere and we decide that this is the best for all of us, maybe not 100% for me, but maybe 60, maybe 40, and I'm willing to live with that. We move forward as a unity and we respect each other for whatever it is. That is critical in life. Because if you can't respect a person, you don't keep an open mind and you don't move forward. And with that, I can tell you the truth. Greg has never scored on me. He's still working a double blade skate. So, I mean, he's got real problems. Thank you so much for the invitation, Val and Greg. I really appreciate the time you've given me. This was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it tremendously, and your accolades towards me are flattering and really appreciated. And I think both of you have a very special place in my heart, and also you're both very bright people, just as bright as I am, because I've learned a lot too. Thank you.
Well, today was amazing. It's another talk at the top. And for you listening at home, don't give up. Bring your piece of the puzzle to the table because this is not complete and we cannot finish it without you. So we are live and interactive always. And this platform, on my final note, this little table that I have, you guys are always welcome 24/7. So if you ever want to come back on, I am just one click or call away.
We might.
Okay, thank you.